Hi, my name is Janelle Ager, and I'm here in Fortuna's Roner Park. I joined the effort a couple years ago to keep a 2 million-gallon water tank out of this beautiful forest, and I learned that one alternative to building in the park might be to use what we have. What we have is 5 million gallons of water storage in the city reservoir on Vansel Street. In May of 2008, at a packed workshop in City Hall, staff said elevation, water pressure, and costs were fatal flaws of this alternative. Some questioned staff's conclusion that Vansel was not an option. At the end of the workshop, we were assured that alternatives would be investigated. However, in August, when the staff report was made available, it did not mention the alternative of using our city reservoir. Only location alternatives for a new tank were discussed. At the meeting, the subject of the city reservoir on Vansel was raised.
But some people say we don't need the Stewart Street reservoirs at all. Why not just demolish them and utilize the Vansel, the 5 million gallons of Vansel to service the pressure zone? Could you respond to that?
Well, the difference is the elevation. You'd have to have a booster pump station at the elevation of the Stewart Street site that would be much larger than is proposed now. And so you'd have a much bigger pump station, much higher pumping costs.
I'm going to follow that up, and the timing is kind of interesting because I just heard the fire whistle go off. In spite of those additional costs, if we were to pursue that solution, would we be compromising our abilities to service during emergencies?
I would say no, because you would have 5 million gallons of storage up there.
The follow-up question of how much it would cost to use the city reservoir at Vansel was not asked. I began asking questions and trying to find answers. I wanted to know whether or not using the Vansel reservoir to provide the needed storage was a reasonable, cost-effective option. I requested information from the city using the California Public Records Act. I also went to the library, the internet, other government agencies, and knowledgeable individuals. I want to share the information I found. It is information on our water system and on a $4 million project. Will the $4 million solve a problem in our water system? I believe the new tank is a storage solution where we have a distribution problem, and that we may have a storage problem, but this project will do nothing to address it.
I'm a tax man. I'm not a water engineer, hydraulic engineer, and so forgive me if my questions are a little on the ignorant side. But I think all of us have to kind of struggle and cope with this. We are talking about a significant amount of money.
Here is a simple schematic of a typical operational strategy. Unlike a map that shows location, north, south, east, and west, this schematic shows the relative elevation of the parts and an outline of how they interconnect. It is not to scale, and many details, like the miles of piping a map might show, are left out. Here, the source, like ours, is at the lowest elevation of the system and includes a treatment facility. Distribution is provided by a pump and pipes moving the water to storage. Then pipes and gravity carry it back down to where it is needed and at a pressure that provides a good flow of water without busting pipes. Source, distribution, storage. A typical operational strategy. Now, let's look at a schematic for our little city. Though it is much more complex, our system is still basically source, storage, and distribution. Let's remove some of the detail. Add house shapes to represent our 8 pressure zones, showing how the zones are set by elevation. Now, for the source, at the lowest elevation of the system, down near the Eel River, each well has a pump to move the water to the treatment facility, and then there is a booster station with several pumps. This booster station by the wells serves Zone 1, and there are 7 more, a booster station for each zone. Of course, the miles of pipes that distribute the water throughout the city are not shown. Now for storage. Our 5 reservoir sites are in blue, located above the zones to provide pressure. What about the other 3 zones? They each have 1 or more hydro-pneumatic tanks next to the pumps. In these zones, instead of a tank at a higher elevation providing pressure, the booster station pumps maintain the water in the tanks at the pressure required for the zone. As water is used, these booster stations run as needed to maintain the correct pressure. So here is our 8 pressure zone system with source, storage, and distribution.